A key consideration when you're evaluating acquisition offers is the prospective buyer's plan for financing the transaction. An acquisition's financing structure impacts the certainty of closing, upfront cash received, and risk associated with potential future cash proceeds. I'm Joe Anto with PCE Investment Bankers, and today we'll be discussing the 5 most common methods of financing a transaction and issues to consider for each one. For most sellers, the preferred method of financing is 100% cash up front, where you receive all cash at closing. However, even in a deal where you're selling less than 100%, you still want to maximize the upfront cash you'll receive at closing. Ideally, this cash consideration is coming directly from the buyer's balance sheet or a committed pool of capital and is not contingent on securing any financing. From your perspective, receiving as much non-contingent cash at closing reduces risk and provides value certainty. Contingent cash consideration is another type of financing and typically takes the form of an earnout, meaning that payments to you after the sale will be based on achieving certain performance-based metrics. You need to be comfortable that the performance metrics are attainable and ultimately within your control to achieve. Ultimately, you should be satisfied with the amount of upfront cash received and view any contingent cash as an additional source of value that may not be realized. Another financing method is seller financing, where you act as a lender and provide debt financing for the transaction. This involves receiving a note for a fixed amount with interest and principal payments paid over a defined term. When evaluating a seller note, it's important to consider the interest rate, term, your rights as a lender, and the amount of debt the buyer is taking that will be senior to your note. Rollover equity is another financing option where the buyer purchases a portion of the company's stock and the seller rolls over the remaining equity into the post-acquisition company. Since you'll be owning equity in the business going forward, it's important to confirm through due diligence that the buyer has experience acquiring and operating businesses and has sound plans for the company post-close. Lastly, debt financing is a common source of funds for many M&A transactions and can take on multiple forms, including senior debt, which is the lowest cost debt available and is secured by the assets of the company, and mezzanine debt, which is unsecured but carries a higher interest rate. It's important to understand the current state of the financing market, the buyer's process for securing debt financing, and whether a lender is already committed to providing any of the proposed financing for a transaction. Additionally, increased debt and interest expense incurred by the buyer can jeopardize the future value of forms of consideration like rollover equity or seller financing if the business doesn't perform well post-close. By understanding and carefully considering the financing structure of an acquisition, you can make more informed decisions to minimize risk and maximize cash proceeds in the M&A process. Thanks for joining me today, and if you like this video, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you'll be notified whenever new content is posted.